Scam artists dialing up potential targets.
And they're pocketing thousands of dollars. News 4's Mecca Thompson joins us live. Mecca.
Jolie and Kevin, it's unclear how many people are involved in the scam, but police say the group is draining the bank accounts of many Oklahomans by impersonating bank workers and committing fraud.
Your bank account just disappeared. Not hacked, not stolen in the traditional sense. Vanished through scams so convincing, the bank itself can't tell the difference. Last year alone, Americans lost over $10 billion to bank fraud. And most victims never saw it coming. Today, we're exposing 10 scams draining accounts right now, and the red flags you need to spot before your savings vanish. Coming in at number 10, the fake bank alert text message scam. Your phone buzzes. A text from your bank. Fraud detected on your account. Click here immediately to verify. You panic and tap the link without thinking. That's exactly what they want. You're rushed to a website that looks identical to your bank's login page. Same logo, same colors, same layout. Even the URL looks legitimate at first glance. You enter your username and password, and hand over complete access to your account. The Federal Trade Commission reported that text message scams stole over $330 million from Americans in 2024. Victims said the messages looked so real, they never questioned them. One woman lost $47,000 in under 8 minutes. She received the text while grocery shopping, clicked the link in the parking lot, and by the time she got home, her checking and savings accounts were completely empty. And here's what the banks don't tell you. If you clicked that link and entered your credentials, they consider it authorized access, which means the losses fall on you, not them. The bank's fraud protection doesn't cover phishing victims. You gave your password away voluntarily, even though you were deceived. Never click links in unsolicited texts claiming to be from your bank. Instead, call the number on the back of your card directly. Real banks will never send you urgent links demanding immediate action. That's what happens through text. But the next scam comes disguised as protection from your bank itself. At number 9, here's one that feels completely legitimate. The verification call scam. Your phone rings. The caller ID shows your bank's name. They say suspicious activity was detected. They're calling to verify recent transactions. They even know your name, the last 4 digits of your account, and recent purchases you made. Sounds helpful, right? But then comes the trap. They ask you to confirm your account number, social security number, or a one-time code sent to your phone. The moment you provide it, they have everything needed to drain your account. These scammers use caller ID spoofing technology to make it look exactly like your bank is calling. The number appears genuine. The automated voice sounds official. Everything feels legitimate. According to the American Bankers Association, phone-based bank fraud increased 87% in 2024. One victim in Florida lost $52,000 after receiving what appeared to be a legitimate call from Wells Fargo's fraud department. The scammer had his account details, knew about his recent mortgage payment, and sounded professional. He didn't realize he'd been scammed until he tried to withdraw money the next day and found nothing left. And here's the betrayal. Real banks will never ask you for your full account number, PIN, or one-time security codes over the phone. But most people don't know that until after they've been scammed. Banks advertise their fraud protection services constantly, making people believe that calls from fraud departments are routine and trustworthy. If you receive a call claiming to be from your bank, hang up and call back using the official number on your card or statement. Don't use any number the caller provides. Phone calls are bad enough. But at gas stations, the theft happens in plain sight. Sliding in at number 8, ATM and gas pump card skimmers. You swipe your card at the pump. Nothing unusual happens. The reader feels normal. The transaction goes through. You fill up and drive away. 3 days later, your account is empty. What you didn't see was the card skimmer, a small device installed over the real card reader. It captured your card number, PIN, and security code in the 2 seconds it took to swipe. Modern skimmers are 3D printed to match the exact color and shape of legitimate readers. Scammers can install these devices in under 20 seconds, often at night when stations are unstaffed. Some even use Bluetooth technology to collect data remotely, without ever returning to the pump. The U.S. Secret Service estimates that card skimming caused losses of over $1 billion in 2024. Gas stations and outdoor ATMs are the most targeted locations. Victims often don't realize they've been skimmed until fraudulent charges appear days later. By then, the scammers have cloned dozens of cards and maxed out accounts across multiple states. Here's what most people miss. Banks routinely deny fraud claims on skimmed cards because the PIN was entered correctly. They assume you authorized the transaction. One couple in Ohio fought their bank for 6 months after losing $8,400 to a gas pump skimmer. The bank refused to refund them, claiming they must have shared their PIN. Always tug firmly on the card reader before inserting your card. If it moves or feels loose, don't use it. Look for scratches, mismatched colors, or anything that seems off. Use credit cards instead of debit cards at gas pumps when possible, since credit cards have better fraud protection. Skimmers capture your data here, but the next scam doesn't need any device at all. At number 7, this one hits without warning. The Zelle and Venmo impersonation scam. You receive a payment request on Zelle or Venmo. It looks like it's from someone you know, maybe your landlord, maybe your kid's school, maybe a contractor you hired last month. You approve the payment and think nothing of it, but the request didn't come from them. Scammers hijacked their account or created a fake one with a nearly identical username. One letter different, one number off. The profile picture matches. The payment memo sounds legitimate. You sent money directly to a stranger. And because these are instant payment platforms, the money is gone the second you hit send. There's no pending period, no reversal option, no buyer protection. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau data shows that peer-to-peer payment scams cost Americans over $2.6 billion in 2024. One victim sent $8,000 to what she thought was her contractor. Easy. But the real contractor never received a cent. The scammer had created an account with a username one letter off from the real contractor's profile. She didn't notice the difference until it was too late. And here's the kicker. Zelle and Venmo's terms of service state that payments to the wrong person are not covered. If you authorized the transaction, even to a scammer, you're responsible for the loss. The platforms explicitly warn that payments are instant and irreversible, but most people never read those warnings until after they've lost money. Always verify payment requests through a separate communication channel before sending money. Call the person directly using a known phone number. Don't rely on the payment app's messaging feature. Check every letter of the username carefully before approving. Digital payments are instant, but the next scam takes weeks to surface, and by then it's too late. Have you ever received a suspicious text or call from someone claiming to be your bank? Share your experience below. Coming in at number 6, the fake check deposit scam. Someone sends you a check. Could be for overpayment on a sale. Could be part of a work-from-home job. Could be a prize or refund. You deposit it through your banking app. The funds appear in your account within hours. Your balance goes up. Everything looks legitimate, so you do what they ask. Send back the overpayment, buy gift cards, or wire money elsewhere. Then, 2 weeks later, your bank reverses the deposit. The check was fake, and now you're responsible for every dollar you sent out. Your account goes negative. Overdraft fees pile up. Collections calls start. Your credit score drops. The Federal Trade Commission warns that fake check scams cost victims an average of $2,000 per incident. In 2024 alone, over 27,000 cases were reported. One man lost his entire $19,000 emergency fund after depositing what appeared to be a legitimate business check. He was hired for a remote job, received a check for equipment purchases, deposited it, bought the equipment as instructed, and then watched helplessly as his bank reversed everything 2 weeks later. He lost the equipment and the money. Here's the part nobody realizes. When you deposit a check, banks are legally required to make funds available quickly, but it can take weeks to verify the check is real. If it bounces, you owe the money back immediately, plus overdraft fees. The bank doesn't care that you were scammed. They hold you responsible for depositing a fraudulent check, even if you had no way to know it was fake. Never spend money from a deposited check until your bank confirms it has fully cleared. This can take up to 10 business days. If someone asks you to send money back after depositing their check, it's a scam. Legitimate businesses never operate this way. Fake checks fool even the banks. But the next scam gets you to give access willingly. Halfway through the list at number 5, remote access tech support scams. A pop-up appears on your screen. Your computer is infected. Call this number immediately to fix it. The warning looks official. Microsoft logo, flashing red alerts, ominous countdown timer. You call, and a helpful technician guides you through downloading remote access software so they can remove the virus. Once they have remote access, they navigate to your online banking while you watch. They claim they need to verify your accounts are secure. Instead, they're transferring money out, setting up external accounts for future withdrawals, or installing keylogging software to steal every password you type from that moment forward. Some even create fake security scans that show thousands of threats, justifying expensive protection packages they're selling. According to the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, tech support scams resulted in $806 million in losses in 2024. Victims over 60 were hit especially hard, with an average loss of $16,000 per person. One retired teacher in Arizona paid $4,500 for fake virus removal, then lost another $23,000 when the scammers used their remote access to drain her retirement account over the following weeks. And here's what makes this so devastating. Because you granted access yourself, many banks consider the resulting fraud to be your fault. Recovery is nearly impossible. You voluntarily downloaded the software. You watched them navigate your computer. From the bank's perspective, you authorized everything that happened. Never download remote access software at the request of an unsolicited caller. Legitimate tech support will never cold call you about computer problems. Microsoft, Apple, and other companies do not monitor your computer or call about viruses. If you see a pop-up warning, close your browser immediately. They trick you into giving access. But the next scam steals it without you noticing. At number 4, this one is silent and surgical. The account takeover scam. You log into your bank account one morning, everything looks normal. Your balance is correct. No suspicious activity alerts. Your recent transactions all look familiar. But behind the scenes, scammers already own your account. They gained access through a data breach, phishing email, or password reuse from another site. Then they waited. Patiently, strategically. They changed your email address, updated your phone number, added external accounts for transfers, set up new beneficiaries, all while leaving your balance untouched so you wouldn't notice. They studied your patterns, learned your spending habits, and planned the perfect moment to strike. Then one day, they move everything at once. Javelin's strategy and research found that account takeover fraud increased 112% in 2024, costing Americans over $4.4 billion. One California woman lost $89,000 in a single afternoon when scammers transferred her savings to cryptocurrency exchanges. She had no idea her account had been compromised for 3 weeks. The scammers changed her email, so she never received the transfer notifications. By the time she discovered the theft, the money was already converted to Bitcoin and disappeared overseas. Here's the betrayal. Banks often don't notify you of contact information changes if they're made through your online account. By the time you realize something is wrong, recovery is almost impossible. The bank claims the changes were authorized through your login credentials. Proving you weren't the one who made them becomes a legal nightmare. Enable multi-factor authentication on all banking accounts immediately. Use unique passwords for each financial account. Monitor your email for any account change notifications. Set up alerts for every transaction, no matter how small. Check your account settings regularly to verify your contact information hasn't changed. They take over your account quietly. But the next scam happens in seconds at an ATM. Want to stay ahead of new scams before they hit your account? Subscribe now so you don't miss the next warning. Do you think banks do enough to protect customers from these scams, or are they leaving us vulnerable? At number 3, this one happens in broad daylight. Shoulder surfing at ATMs. You walk up to an ATM. Someone stands a bit too close behind you. Maybe on their phone, maybe just waiting. They seem harmless. You enter your PIN and withdraw cash. Nothing seems wrong. You take your money and leave. But they watched every number you typed. They memorized your PIN in seconds. Then they waited for you to leave. Used a portable card skimmer they'd planted earlier to clone your card from a previous transaction, or simply followed you to steal your wallet. With your PIN and card number, they have complete access to your account. Some sophisticated criminals use tiny cameras hidden near the keypad or mirrors, positioned to reflect your hand movements. The American Bankers Association reports that shoulder surfing contributes to over $500 million in ATM fraud annually. Many victims don't realize their PIN was stolen until their account is drained. One man in Texas lost $12,000 after someone recorded him entering his PIN on their phone. The video was so clear, the thief could see every digit. Within 2 hours, his account was empty. The bank reviewed the ATM footage and confirmed the withdrawals were made with the correct PIN, so they denied his fraud claim. And here's what makes this so frustrating. Because the thief used your actual PIN, banks often classify these withdrawals as authorized. Proving fraud becomes nearly impossible. You have to convince the bank that someone stole your PIN without stealing your card first. Most banks won't even investigate unless you can prove your card was physically stolen. Always shield the keypad with your hand when entering your PIN. If someone stands too close, ask them to step back or use a different ATM. Be aware of your surroundings. Look for cameras, mirrors, or anyone watching you too closely. Trust your instincts. They watch you type, but the next scam hijacks your phone itself. Coming in at number 2, one of the most devastating scams right now, the SIM swap attack. Your phone stops working. No service, no calls, no texts. The screen shows no signal. You assume it's a network outage and wait. But in those minutes, scammers have already taken over your entire financial life. They called your phone carrier, impersonated you, and convinced them to transfer your number to a new SIM card in their possession. They claimed they lost their phone and needed immediate service. The carrier employee asked a few security questions, information the scammers got from data breaches or social media, and approved the transfer. Now every text message, authentication code, and password reset goes directly to them. They reset your email, then your bank login, then your investment accounts. Then they drain everything. The Federal Communications Commission reported that SIM swap attacks cost victims over $68 million in 2024. One cryptocurrency investor lost $240,000 in less than 15 minutes after his number was hijacked. By the time he regained access, his accounts were empty. He tried calling his bank, but he couldn't receive the verification codes needed to log in. The scammers had complete control. Here's the part that enrages victims. Phone carriers make it shockingly easy to transfer numbers with minimal verification. And once the swap happens, stopping the theft is almost impossible because scammers control your primary security method. Every service that sends you verification codes sends them to the scammer's phone instead. You're locked out of your own life while watching helplessly as your accounts are emptied. Contact your phone carrier and set up a PIN or password that must be verified before any account changes. Use authentication app instead of SMS codes whenever possible. Apps like Google Authenticator or Authy generate codes locally on your device, so even if your SIM is swapped, scammers can't access them. Enable every available security feature on your mobile account. They hijack your phone. Yeah, but the number one scam convinces you to send the money yourself. And finally, at number 1, the impersonation wire transfer scam. You receive an urgent email from your boss, your lawyer, or your mortgage company. They need you to wire money immediately for a time-sensitive deal, legal settlement, or closing cost. The deadline is today. The email address looks correct. The tone sounds right. The signature matches. They reference specific project you're working on. You act fast. You wire the money as instructed. Then you get a call. The real person never sent that email. Scammers compromised their email account weeks ago, studied their writing style, monitored their correspondence, and waited for the perfect moment. They sent a perfect impersonation. And wire transfers are irreversible. Once sent, the money is gone forever. It moves through multiple international accounts within minutes, making recovery virtually impossible. The FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center ranks business email compromise and impersonation scams as the costliest type of cybercrime, with losses exceeding $2.7 billion in 2024. One small business owner wired $380,000 to what he believed was his company's law firm. The email came from the lawyer's actual email address, which had been hacked. The real lawyers never received it. The money disappeared into overseas accounts and was never recovered. And here's the ultimate betrayal. Banks are not liable for wire transfer fraud if you authorized the transaction. Even if you were tricked, even if the email was perfectly convincing, even if you lost your life savings, they won't refund the money. You're left with nothing. Wire transfers are considered final and irrevocable. The law protects the bank, banks, not the victims. Always verify wire transfer requests by calling the person directly using a known phone number before sending. Never rely solely on email, even if it looks legitimate. Never use contact information provided in the email itself. If someone claims it's urgent, that's the biggest red flag. Legitimate businesses understand the need for verification. That's the most expensive mistake you can make. And once you send the wire, there's no getting it back. Have any of these scams happened to you or someone you know? Tell us your story in the comments. These scams are spreading faster than anyone realizes. Billions disappear every year, and most victims never recover their money. The tactics keep evolving. The technology gets more sophisticated, and the people behind these scams are getting better at exploiting the one thing that never changes: trust. They rely on you trusting your bank, trusting your phone carrier, trusting that email from your boss. They know that in moments of urgency, people skip the verification steps that could save them, and they're counting on banks to shift the blame back to you when it's all over. But you don't have to be the next victim. Now that you know how these scams work, you have the power to spot them before they strike. That single moment of hesitation, that decision to verify before you click, before you send, before you give access, could save everything you've worked for. If you found this video helpful, subscribe now so you never miss a warning. Share this with someone who needs to see it, because the next scam could target you or someone you love tomorrow. And knowing how to spot it might be the difference between keeping your savings and losing everything. Stay vigilant, stay informed, stay protected.